So let's start with how a big hotel brand like the Marriott Hotel actually make money. And I know that might be a little bit overboard because the reference point is the middle class trying to put some of their capital for economic mobility. And in this case, an example like Marriott Hotel is miles way higher than the reference point trying to solve a problem for. Their approach will be a little bit out of reach for the middle class, but the principle that they apply, the process, the principles that guides what all of this is about actually applies, whether it's middle class, high net worth. But before I get into what makes how the Marriott makes money is important, let's get into why it matters. So, typically we all assume real estate as just the asset. And I wish this were bigger, but stay with me. So we see real estate as just this fixed asset. But real estate is as much as a management-led, an operations-led, a process-led industry, as much as it is an asset-led industry. And I guess it's important to start from here, the fact that the middle class, whose goal is economic mobility, then find themselves only chasing this asset, saving for years, and after that is achieved, you then tie it all up in this point. So yes, let's chase assets, but also with the understanding that this property is half assets and half operations, half asset, half product, and half processes. And I'm even happy with this reference because this shows us that there are more possibilities, more flexibilities, more opportunities to capture value in the processes part of a property than just the assets. All the asset has is the financial risks, the financial rewards, the technical risks, and the technical rewards, and the capital gains that accrue on such fixed assets. Whereas there are a lot of values that we can capture along the value chain of the processes needed in a property. So even without going as far as the Marriott, take for example, before a developer sells an off-plan property, there are different processes, different stages behind that level that makes it possible that when people co-fund that process, say for example, the land acquisition, the design and approval, the engineering processes, the engineering techniques, even the marketing and sales, it then becomes a product, an asset that other people can buy. That point, that stage, which is the stage one for many people, it's already an exit for those people who funded the process. So yes, the product is important, but it is only as valuable as the process that brought it. So the focus of this conversation is around how to see the value in processes, in management, in operations, and not just on the asset alone. Yes, asset is what helps us to leverage all of these opportunities. This asset is what empowers us. It's what gives us the leverage to actually drive all these processes, all these operations, all these management processes, intellectual properties that helps us unlock the value in processes. And because we are aware of all the opportunities, all the leverage points unlocked and stored within the management, administration, operations, and processes of a property, we can then create avenues that make it easy for the middle class to plug their capital into those processes, get value, and then take that rewards as inputs for their economic mobility. But still, don't get this twisted. You cannot access this value if you don't own. So maybe this will help us put the rent versus buy or rent versus own argument to rest once and for all. Whatever investment, whatever opportunities you seek should be around ownership of such in such property. Ownership is what gives you the stake. Ownership is what gives you the leverage to get the rewards, the return on investment that would accrue to you as a result of investing in such property. And what I am basically saying in these cases, the focus will no longer now be on only just the asset, because you can either decide to own the product or the process. You can also own both. But if your capital is not enough to own the asset or the product, you can equally focus on owning the process. And this will equally yield as much results as for those who own the product. And that is what makes the Marriott reference really important for this conversation. So let's get into how the Marriott Hotel actually make money without owning it. So what makes the Marriott example really interesting for me is it is the exact flip around of what a typical average person is used to. What I mean, an average person has been exposed to, how the McDonald example, when they say, oh, the McDonald's business is really a real estate business. It's an asset business. But in this case, the Marriott franchise flipped this around. And to really understand the Marriott franchise, let's break it into three parts. So there is, first of all, the owner, which are the people or the developers or the fund, the joint venture that bought the land, built the hotel, finished it, that own the property, and as a result, own the liabilities and the rewards and the profits that accrue to them as a result of owning that property. And because it's an hotel, because they built an hotel, that automatically qualifies them for the money, for the proceeds of such hotel. So that is the owner. And in terms of this conversation, they own the product, they own the asset. Then here comes the Marriott, that all they have is only brand capital, but billions of dollars worth of brand capital. Then they come to the owner and say, yes, you built an 100 unit, 100 room, 200 room hotel. You have a very beautiful hotel, but we have high-paying customers all over the world, and we know how to get them to use your hotel. So give us some money, and we will allow you to access our customer base. So those are the two players. The first, the owner on the product side, and the second, Marriott, on the process side. So it gets interesting. Typically, you would think that because these people have built the hotel, they finished it. In many cases, some of them have already furnished the hotel. You would think they hold all the cards. But it will surprise you that when the Marriott comes, they charge the owners a fee before the owners can use the Marriott brand name. Apart from that, they give them a set of requirements, set of guidelines. The size of your table, the texture of your fabric, the size of your carpet, color of your finishing, this and that. Requirements that oftentimes require that such hotel owners literally change everything in that hotel. So apart from the billions of dollars that is spent on building and furnishing that hotel, you still have to then refurnish it to meet the standard of Marriott. So it's not an easy handshake or we know you, we are friends, let's get into business. No, it's a proper documentation, proper management process. This is just as if a KPMG opens up their processes to a young business, a small business. Use our name, make profit, but give us a part of the profit. But before you can use this name, you have to pay us some money. You have to do your office in this size, paint your office this way. Your staff will wear this kind of uniform. This is how you talk to people. This is what you do. This is what you don't do. Literally overturn that business, but give them that brand capital and they can leverage on. So this is basically what plays out. And at the end of the day, what you see as the Marriott hotel is a combination of that asset and the Marriott brand processes, the management procedure, the operational playbook that then guarantees their customer, those high-paying global customers, that anywhere they see the Marriott name, they are guaranteed of the same experience. And that is what gives them that brand capital. The assurance that even if it is in my village that Google Maps cannot see, as long as it is the Marriott, I am guaranteed of the same experience. And that is what now gives value to this property. That is what helps this property only generate income. And it may interest you to know that the Marriott in this case, oftentimes, in many cases, make more money than even the asset owner. But guaranteed income, guaranteed revenue, guaranteed cash flow for everybody. And this brings me back to the aesthetic. Yes, this Marriott, for example, may offer rich steps for the middle class. But the point remains that the processes, the amount of possibilities that their playbook has revealed to us makes it interesting. Now imagine that a small scale size of the Marriott playbook is implemented in Lagos and Abuja, such that the middle class can then collectively fund and grow this typical kind of brand capital that help them to leverage processes, operations that can unlock more value, more property owners. And when this comes together, it becomes a win-win for everybody. Instead of individually just chasing the product, the asset. That just like the Marriott, we can run the day-to-day processes of maximizing the value chain within this process without tying ourselves up with a blind focus on just asset alone, that oftentimes many of us cannot even unlock the value that is in such assets. Of course, owning the product does not now mean that you own less than the process. It just means that without this process, you only get half of the value that is locked, that is stored in the product. And data proves this. For example, some of the hotels that were running independently before embracing or bringing on the Marriott franchise, at their books before and after embracing the Marriott franchise, the difference is as clear as day. And I guess I must clarify that this, as we've always seen, is not another version of this versus that argument. The industry does not play on one option. The market does not dwell on this versus that. We've seen the market embrace multiple options. The market play along different alternatives at the same time. So this and this can coexist at the same time. But this is not a choose asset or choose process. You can own both. So it doesn't matter whether it is a smaller replica of the Marriott franchise downsized for Lagos or Abuja so that people can plug into it, or whether you are funding the development stages of a project before an off-plan product is ready for marketing, or whether it's a prop tech startup that you're funding. Because in essence, the intellectual property behind the Marriott franchise is basically an operations management as a service, literally a tech service. So imagine that instead of chasing how to find funds and capital for building the next project, you're building the next operations management franchise that actually converts the value of that next project. So it doesn't matter whether it's any of that. And I can keep going on and on. There are many opportunities that this understanding unlocks, such that there is something for everybody. At whatever size, at whatever scale, with whatever level of income you have, and based on the amount of risk you are willing to take on, there is something for you. So whether you are curious or this just excites you, this gets you excited, and you're ready to jump on the next step, you're ready to go put your money into that profit startup. Before you do that, my strong advice, my strong recommendation is, before you do any of that, be sure to first check whether it is the right fit for you. The singular thing that makes the Marriott franchise a real estate giant without owning a physical asset is the strength of their brand capital, the ingenuity of their intellectual property, and the quality of their process. And that is why what this requires is beyond just creating the intellectual property. It's beyond just the idea. Because beyond the idea, we must also create processes, special purpose vehicles, mechanisms, structures, tools, audit systems, escrows that help us deliver this solution without compromising trust, transparency, confidence, and security of capital. And it will interest you to know that most of these tools are already built. But we already built a system to handle processes like this. We already built an SPV, a special purpose vehicle that leverages all these tools, these audit systems, escrows, accountability systems, and more. Yet, we don't just open it to everybody. We don't just open it to anybody anyhow. Because beyond all of this, what is most important is whether what you want to get is the right fit, whether it's the right fit for your capital, whether it matches your goal. Does it align with what you want to do in 3, 5, 10, 20, 30 years? So, unless you can answer these questions first, as encouraging, as motivating, as eye-opening as this video is, before you do anything, make sure that it is exactly what fits you. If you're wondering how to do that, you're wondering how to assess, how to judge, evaluate opportunities, and see whether they really fit you, we've built an online self-assessment tool that helps you calculate how well your capital fits into certain opportunities, what fits your investment appetite, your investor appetite. This is what describes the nature of your capital, the level of risk, how much flexibility your capital can have, how much risk you can take. And based on this, then recommends certain opportunities, the kind of opportunities that will fit your goals in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years. And whether what you want is cash flow, whether what you want is profit, whether what you want is asset value, it then plans that and then recommends what fits those kind of goals. And in cases where you have the exact map, it gives you resources, how to proceed, what to do next in order to achieve or to move forward with those recommendations. And all of these that I've described, less than 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Just mere objective questions that when you answer, it immediately gives you your recommendation. So, keep playing on the process side of real estate, at least to you. Simply scan this QR code now to take the assessment. And I will also drop the link in the show notes and also in the comment section below. Take the assessment and the rest will just be plug and play. And that brings me to the most important part of this. Because like I said earlier, all these processes the HPV, the intellectual property, is just one side of the coin. Because what the Marriott could leverage, the singular thing that makes the Marriott franchise a real estate giant without owning a physical asset, is the strength of their brand capital, the ingenuity of their intellectual property, and the quality of their process. One of the things that I did not talk about the Marriott franchise is the management agreement. Because even though they are giving you the playbook, they are bringing their process, they are bringing their Bon Boy booking system. And that Bon Boy is their leverage. That is how they attract all their global customers to any location that they have in Marriott. It's a loyalty reward program where they reward their loyal customers with flight tickets, reservations, exclusive dinners, and other perks. So yes, that will help them attract customers. But the only way they can guarantee that those customers will stay is by ensuring that the level of service, the service delivery remains consistent, whether it's Lagos, whether it's New York, whether it's Spain, whether it's Rome, or anywhere in the world. The fact that they can consistently deliver the same quality of service is the main leverage, the singular thing that helps them unlock billions of dollars worth of real estate value with just brand capital. So it's not enough to know the process. It's not enough to know the value in the process. Because I've seen this over and over and over again. In close to 2 decades worth of experience, real life, blood and sweat experience in real estate, I acknowledge the dangers of videos like this. How it's easy to jump on the next shiny thing without really paying attention to what's happening, what fuels that idea. The concept, the frameworks, and the principles that power such idea are totally forgotten. You see the next person pushing the idea, and once they start making money on it, you jump on it without actually looking at the back end. What actually fuels that idea? What is the advantage that fuels that idea? And right there will be a good place to wrap this up. That yes, let's own property, but at the same time, let's not just focus on only the asset part of the property, but there is also an equally important and equally valuable, even sometimes more valuable, and the asset itself is a process or an operations or the management part of that real estate that adds, that holds, and even helps us maximize the value of these assets that we also focus on and blindly forget about this other part. Is equally as important and as valuable and as valuable as the asset. And if investment is your focus, whether asset or process or both, what you should pay attention to is actually not the packaging or the intellectual property. What makes the difference, the differentiation, the quality of the idea, the ingenuity of the intellectual property as well, that unlocks the value within that value. That is what should inform what you should invest in. And I hope this helps.